And a warm welcome to Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits. The Consumer Council ensures protection of consumer rights and interests, as well as to promote practices and a commercial environment that benefit consumers, businessmen, traders, and professionals alike. We're going to discuss issues reported to the Council recently, and my guests today are the Chief Executive Officer, Seema Shandil, and the Campaign Information and Media Officer, Ropate Valeme. Welcome to the both of you to Speak Your Mind.
Thank you, Luis, and a very good afternoon to all the listeners.
Vinaka. Now, I believe the conduct of some real estate agents have been brought to your attention recently. Could you tell us what the nature of complaints are about?
As we all know, that the real estate is sector is a very lucrative businesses because there's a high demand for housing and the supply of housing is very limited. So, because of this, you must have noticed, and all the consumers must have noticed that there is a hike, or really the prices are skyrocketing. If you really want to own a property, so it is extremely important for consumers to know their rights and responsibilities should they decide to purchase a property, or even if they are deciding to sell a property, or deciding to look for a place to rent. So because there's a large sum of money involved in this area, so I would suggest that consumers need to be very vigilant, very careful whom they are dealing with. But just today I was reading Fiji Sun where Real B has come up, and this is some of the complaints that we also receive about the bogus agents. These agents actually are not registered under the Real B. Real B is the real estate agents licensing board who actually gives the register, or who registers the real estate agents. So these are the ones who are not registered, but yet they are involved in buying and selling of the properties. And in between, they make a lot of money. They dupe the sellers as well as the buyers. So to this date, if you see in the last 12 years, we have received 55 complaints, which was worth around $492,857.88, to be very specific.
Hmm.
And the nature of complaints include, non-disclosure of property prices. This is a property prices, I would say, is a very important element if you really want to purchase a house, because that will decide whether you are eligible or whether you'll be able to afford to buy that house.
Yes.
So if you look in through Saturdays or Fiji Times and Fiji Sun, you will see a lot of properties on sale. But most of the properties that is in the local dailies in the weekend, you'll see comes without a price tag. So in a way, it says invited offers, or
Okay.
you have open home visit, but it doesn't say anything about the prices. So what happens is consumers, when they look at the pictures, they get very attracted, and when
Mm.
they go about having a look at the property and they get enticed,
Mm.
then they are pressurized into buying it. So that is also called pressurized selling.
I
So
see.
what they are told, if you don't want, or if you don't sign the sales and purchase agreement quickly, or if you don't decide to buy quickly, what will happen is that there are other people who are really interested in the property. So
Very
yeah,
smart,
very
eh?
smart. So
Oh.
actually, this makes the consumers, okay, like I should buy the property because there are other people and I might miss
Hmm.
out on this offers.
So they make a rational decision
Yeah.
because of the way that that person
Exactly, yeah.
enticed them.
And sometimes what happens is, consumers, because of that, they get into sales and purchase agreement, and they make certain deposits. Because, when you are dealing with agents, you have to pay the deposit, and then there are certain fees and charges associated with it, plus 1% documentation fee.
Mm.
So they end up paying those charges plus the deposit, and then they have a change of mind, because sometimes it happens. We then go and sit down with the family and say, okay, I might not want to buy that property, or if they
Mm.
have applied for loan and then they come to know that they will not be eligible for loan, so then they have to pull out.
Right.
So in this case, some of the real estate agents refuse to refund the bond.
Oh
So
dear. That's a
then
lot of money.
that's a lot of
Mm.
money. So this is when they come to us for intervention. And in some cases we have assisted,
Mm.
but in some cases it's quite hard, especially when you are dealing with bogus agents. I'm not saying that all the agents are bad. Some agents are really honest and
Yes.
they work in the interest of buyers and sellers. They do, but there are some that the consumers really need to look out for
Mhm.
and not to engage with them if they are really wanting to buy or and own a property.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So that's your advice to the consumer, just to be really careful about stuff like this.
Yeah, so for consumers, I would say before you get into any contract signing, you seek information because that is very important before you make any decisions about choosing a property for purchase.
So when you say
Okay.
seek information, what kind of research
Okay.
would they
First,
do?
they need to find out about that real estate agent, right?
Okay.
Whether they have a registered license to indulge into buying and selling of property.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, all the information related to that property. For example, if they have been shown a valuation report,
Mm-hmm.
so what they need to do is get an independent valuation done. Why I'm saying that that will give them a fair view whether the price that they are paying for the property is what they should expect in the market.
Okay.
Is it a really inflated price or is it a fair price that they are
Yes.
paying for that particular property? Also, they need to ask for a engineer certificate because the engineer certificate will provide them with some information about the structural design
Mm-hmm.
and also about the building codes, etc., etc.
See, there's
Yeah,
so
so
many things that you have to do before. I mean, because that's a lot of money you're spending.
yeah,
I mean, a home is not cheap.
yeah, true.
Yeah.
And also, when they are signing the sales and purchase agreement, it's very important
Mm-hmm.
that they read and understand each and every statement that is in that agreement.
Mm.
Because sometimes, the default statements are there. If you decide to move out of this agreement,
Mm-hmm.
then there will be no refund made.
Okay, so
Yeah, so
they should make sure that that
yes.
it should be in the
So they,
contract
they,
signed.
they need to be very sure what all is in the agreement before they sign it.
Okay,
Because
so
that becomes a legal document once you accept everything and sign.
that's so true. I mean, we've
Yeah.
got you to help out. I'm sure if someone wants to buy a home, they can actually come and visit you.
Definitely, we can provide
Mm.
advice. We can, and we can work with Real B, which is also a statutory body of government. And
See?
yeah, they can, if not us, then they can also go to them if they are not sure whether the agent they are dealing with is licensed or unlicensed.
Thank you very much. We'll be back in a moment on Speak Your Mind. This is Gold FM, only the classic hits. And we're back. Thank you a lot for your company, and I hope you're enjoying the show. I mean, this is very important that we do have you to, and of course, our friend here to just make consumers aware of not being conned, I should say. But that was really good information about the real estate. So now maybe we can talk about the environment and climate adaptation levy on plastics, just to make it clear to our listener
Mhm.
what they need to know.
Thank you. When we talk about the environment and climate adaptation levy, we on plastic bag, there can be another and also known as plastic bag levy. This plastic bag levy at the moment is still 20 cents. And we have received a lot of complaints about this particular trader that is charging 30 cents for a plastic bag. They might be wondering, why is it 30 cents and not 20 cents as by the law is 20 cents per plastic bag EK levy. The council understands that the law states that it's 20 cents, but it is silent on whether they should retail it as an item, which makes it should be clearly reflected in the receipt that EK levy 20 cents and plastic bag item 10 cents, which makes it to 30 cents.
Just to add on to that, I mean, what that complaint came in regard to the retailer. Well, actually, he's just charging 20 cents for the ECAL levy, and
Okay.
then he is now retailing plastic bag at 10 cents.
Okay, so he
yeah,
can actually
yeah,
do
he
that,
can
but he has
actually,
to, like you
yeah,
said, have it.
but then other supermarkets do not wish to charge any charge for the plastic bags. But however, having said that, I would advise the consumers. I think we need to change. We need to carry our shopping bags when we go out shopping. This is the time because we are not doing justice to our climate. We know there are so many issues with our environment, and we need to save our environment. Fiji is a lovely country. So I think this is a very good initiative by the government, introduction of increase of ECAL levy from 20 cents to 50 cents for that is high density plastic bag that will come effective from 1st January 2020. And then
So when you say high density bag, that's different from the shopping.
low density, yes.
That's low density, the shopping
The-
plastics.
no, the low density are the ones that when we go out shopping to the, I would say, where we buy that thick plastic when we normally buy clothes, right?
Okay, yes, I
So
get it,
those
yeah.
are the low density plastic bags. The high density plastic bags are the ones that we get in the supermarkets when we go out doing marketing.
Okay.
So this is not good for our environment, and we want to save our environment. So I think one good thing what we can do is start carrying our bags, and we are also saving money.
Yeah, exactly. And you soon get used to it, I'm sure.
Yes, true. Yeah, if you go in overseas countries, you'll see. I mean, amazingly, you'll see people when they are out in the supermarket, they are carrying their own bags. They'll take it out and then they pack their own stuff themselves in that carry bag.
Yes, that's a good thing to do. So, will there be a total ban on the shopping supermarket plastics? No.
Just on the
Next year.
high density plastic bag, yes, which is the ones that the supermarkets are using.
The single-use plastic bag.
The
one with
single-use.
handle.
Oh, okay. So it'll be banned from next year?
1st January 2020.
Okay, so that should be clear to the consumer,
yeah.
because I don't think they actually know that it's going to be completely banned. So you have to get stocked up on your homemade cloth bags.
Yes, and that
there's
is
plenty.
that will last you long as well.
Yeah. No
And
problem
another
at
way
all.
of making money, they can so these fancy bags, if they have that skill of sewing,
Yeah,
and then sell
yeah.
it for money. That's
That's a-
another source of income for people, and that's going to last you much longer.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. So, if someone knows how to sew, they can start a business and,
Yeah.
earn money, like you said. Okay, so that's on the plastics. Is there anything else that you'd like to add on about the plastics? Is that it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's
yeah,
covered.
that's I mean, as I said, I
Mhm.
just advise the consumers, don't wait for January. Start now. Start
Okay.
carrying your bags from right away.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. Now, can you tell us about your findings on poor quality meat? I believe you've had a second round of inspections.
This actually started from March when we received a lot of complaints about supermarkets selling rotten fruits and vegetables and, putrid meat in terms of the meat were thawed or, they were discolored. And that time around, you must have seen in the news that there was a lot of condemnation done.
Yes.
So, yeah, and then we did a follow-up market surveillances and then a further 3.5 tons of meat were, and not only meat, but also expired dairy products were condemned. And this we do. We actually work with the health inspectors of the municipal council,
Yes.
and we would like to assure the consumers that we will continue doing this until we are, until we see that there comes a point in time where supermarkets become really hygienic and they start selling good products to the consumers. Not only in terms of meat products and fruits and vegetables, I would also talk about, selling of expired food products. And currently what we have seen on the supermarket shelves are the products that have Julian codes. I don't think any of our consumers know how to read Julian codes. Do you?
No, I don't have any idea.
So if you look at a product which has some codings written on it, that means most probably it is the Julian code, which you really have to understand. So the year comes first, and then you have to count the number of days in the year over 35, and that's how you're going to work it out, like the expiry date, which is very difficult for the consumers.
Oh, very
And
much so.
and what the traders failed to do was to inform the consumers that this particular product, maybe it's good for it, it has not reached the expiry date, but the consumers are not well informed.
Yes.
So they have failed in that part. That's why we are following up with the traders, with the relevant authorities to make sure that the products that is on the shelf is, all information is available so that the consumers can make the right decision.
Yes. So maybe Ropate, how would you advise a consumer to read the label, best buy and expiry? Would there be a clear way that you can explain to them?
Yeah, there are a lot of ways that we can, instead of just looking at the expiry dates, most of us we can just use our eyes, use our senses as well.
Mm.
If you see something that is not fresh, maybe then after that, then you can check the expiry date. Because for us at the council, we normally advise consumers to read the label first before they purchase a product. Not just meat, not just any packaging, but any other product. If they pick it up from the shelves before they cash it out, read from the label. It has like all the information about the nutrition level, nutrition value, expiry dates, and where is it made from. And we also advise consumers, if they find that there are any foreign labelings, you can come and report it to the council, because when it comes to the foreign labeling, it has to be the language that you understand, English.
Exactly. But we'll be back for more on Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits. This is Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits. Welcome back. And our guest, the Chief Executive Officer of the Consumer Council, Simo Shandil, and the Campaign Information and Media Officer, Ropate Valeme. Now, this is a live radio talkback show, and if you have something that you'd like to share or a question that you'd like to ask, you can call 3220-906, or if you have a Digicel phone, 77-32906. Now, we're still going with the expiry dates, and just wanted to ask about, this is something that I've always wondered about. Are they able to tamper with the expiry dates? Have you had any reports on that?
Yes, of course, they have done it and they're still doing it. I will give you a very good example because, these unethical traders, they never fail to amaze the council. Trust me. Time and again, we are getting complaints, and also through our market surveillances, we have seen that they have tampered the expiry dates. Just last week, we received a complaint from one of the consumers. She is sick. She has a medical condition where she is not supposed to get pregnant. So she goes to one of the pharmacies in Nasinook municipal area in Wea. She bought these contraceptives, which was expired. And look at the audacity. I don't know, is it the audacity of the trader or the pharmacist, where they have actually tampered with the due dates. They have used the same color nail polish, actually, matching the color of the packet to hide the expiry date. It was really difficult for me even to, verify. I had to ask someone to actually show me how and where it has been tampered. So they go to the extent of doing that.
And so how was it realized then, if it was that hard to
so
notice? You must be really smart.
So yeah, that's where we are calling upon our consumers to be very vigilant when they are out there shopping. Because this is just one example. There have been cases where they have tampered, the prepackaged meat and fruits and vegetables, and also the canned product. They have done it, and just recently there was complaints about a alcohol where the due date was being tampered. So this is an ongoing issue in out there in the marketplace.
Boy.
So you have to be very careful. So supposedly if something is going on specials, be very careful. Make sure you look for the labels, and if you think that it has been tampered, please feel free to come over or just call us on 155 and report the case.
That's right. I mean, it's a toll-free number.
Because it's a health hazard.
Very
right?
much
It's
so.
a health hazard for imagine for that contraceptives. So many people have used it, right? Our HIVs are on the rise. So we are actually putting a serious threat on our consumers' life.
Okay, so maybe Ropate, how would we be able to tell if it's tampered? I mean, look, it's just a stamp. I mean, maybe they just rub it off and then, they've got the equipment to obviously do it.
Because most of the products, when they put a expiry date or the best, before you purchase it, they actually put a stamp on it. Yeah? There's no sticker that puts there. They put it there, or they take maybe a stamp. And it's actually they stamp it on the product.
Yeah, I've noticed. Yes.
Because when we talk about to look at the product before we buy them, we actually have to look at all these kind of things. With some of these products, they put they put a stamp and then they put another sticker on top, or maybe they just rub it off, because most of these expiry dates, they are either on top or at the bottom, because it fails. Most of consumers, they fail to realize this.
See?
So when we ask consumers, we always advise them to look at all these kind of things before they take it from the counter and purchase it.
So you really have to have an eye for detail for that, I'm
Yes.
sure. Yes.
Yeah, sometimes it's all also pasted on top. A
Or
small
like a
sticker.
film, eh?
Yeah,
Like it's clear.
pasted. Yeah, on top of the due date. So if you are careful, you'll be able to see.
So it should be just stamped on
Yes.
and without anything like that clear. Oh, very smart. So maybe you can explain to us about shrinkflation now, what that means.
Okay. Shrinkflation. It's maybe in Fiji our consumers are not very aware of, but it's a common thing in overseas countries. However, you must have noticed, right, that there is a decline. So shrink and inflation are two different words combined to say shrinkflation.
Okay.
So the weight or the quantity have actually decreased. Like for example, there was this case in United Kingdom where the Kellogg's cornflakes, the weight has been reduced from 790 grams to 720 grams,
I
but the
see, yes.
price remained the same. So something similar. This is called shrinkflation.
Okay, I
So
get it
if
now,
you
yes.
if you go out shopping and if you see that there was a product that used to have a larger weight before, but now the weight has actually gone down, being reduced, but it is being sold at the same price,
Okay.
or the price have increased. That means now you are getting less for more
Right.
cost, right?
So they're not allowed to do that.
Businesses,
Oh, actually, they can do
yeah,
it. But we,
they,
as a consumer, we should be
well,
alert.
the businesses blame. I'm not talking about Fiji, but the overseas manufacturers are blaming it to increasing cost and also increasing
see.
competition. However, you can say the consumers are the victim. Now we are paying more for reduced amount or
Yeah.
quantity. Yeah.
I used to wonder, how you get the potato chips or something like that. They're very smart. They're big packet, and then when you lift it, it's like, oh my gosh, the chips are right at the bottom of the packet.
Yeah, observant consumers must have noticed it, because there was this consumer who actually came down to me highlighting these issues that previously he could see that the weight was more, now the weight has reduced and the prices have gone up, and what the council can do in
Okay.
those areas. So people are observing. I think it is here, but we are not actually seeing it as shrinkflation, but we call it
Oh.
inflation.
Well, thank you so much for that. And maybe we move on to moneylenders. I believe that some are charging more interest. And how much are they supposed to charge anyway? Because I don't go to moneylenders,
Okay,
but I know a lot of people do, which
yeah.
is quite sad. I mean, you live a life of debt.
Yeah, I mean, in Fiji, if you look at it, payday lending is rife. Okay, so because borrowers are easily able to get money from the money lenders, that's quite at ease, because you don't have to provide them with any documentations or anything. You just need the money, you go them, and because they are everywhere, you go to the bus stand, you go to say small suburban shops or stores, or even in the villages, anywhere, even in the markets.
It's rife here. But
Yeah.
sorry, Seema, we'll be back soon on Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits. This is Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits. Thank you a lot for your sweet company. Our guest today is the Chief Executive Officer of the Consumer Council of Fiji, Seema Shandil, also the Campaign Information and Media Officer, Ropate Valeme. And, this is a live radio talkback show. You can call and be a part of the discussion, 7732906 if you have a Digicel phone, or you can call 3220906. Now, just picking up from where we left off. I was so sorry to interrupt you, my friend. So you can continue about what we was talking about, the money lending and how rife it is in Fiji. I know they even hold on to your ATM cards.
Yeah, you're so true. But the question is, why do people take small amount loans? Yeah, because most of the time what happens is they need money for the daily expense of the family, or to make a payment. Supposedly they have things on higher purchases, or to pay the school needs of the children, or sometimes to meet the expenses of family functions.
True. I mean, it's
Like
convenient to be able to get cash like that.
and
Yes.
then when you are going to the money lenders, they don't ask you for anything except for your bank card, bank key cards, and also they go to the extent of asking for the PIN numbers, which the borrowers very happily give it to them, which is not right. It's illegal actually, but then that's how they secure the amount of money that they are giving out to the consumers.
Just sorry, excuse me, we've got a caller. Just a second. This is Speak Your Mind, Gold FM. How may I help you?
Hey, good afternoon, Grace.
Good afternoon.
Can I ask a question that's outside the topic?
Okay, is it, what do you mean outside the topic? Okay, well, I mean, if it's related to the Consumer Council, you can go ahead.
Okay, see, the people who's living beside me, they have the electricity lines that is crossing my yard. Are they allowed to do that?
Okay,
Thank you for your question, but I think you will have to contact EFL in that for that issue.
okay, so that's not related at all, sorry. Okay, so interrupted you on that, and just about the money lending, yes, sorry, Seema.
Yeah, okay. So the very reasons are because they need cash for their, maybe daily lives, to run their daily lives. So, and sometimes what they do is their own loan. So come the next payday, they'll take more loan to, take them through the other pay. So this is how they roll over with their loans. And then a lot of money lenders, they take advantage. So they are supposed to just, as per the Money Lenders Act, the interest rate should nothing be anything above 12%.
Okay.
But yet they go charging 20 to 40%. And there have been cases where they have charged 200 to 300% interest rate. So I'll just give you a case study where, this girl by the name, we're just calling Maria. So she decides to take a loan from the money lender because the husband became unemployed and he was supposed to start employment after 4 months. So she goes to the money lender and says, okay, I need $600. And she also tries to get sort of a debt, what do you call that? A waive period of 4 months. And then she said she will start paying for the loan after 4 months when the husband starts working. The money lender gives her $600 without giving her any written contract or any outlay, statements that what will happen in between, what will be the charges, what will be the interest rate. So Maria takes the money home. After 4 months, when the husband starts working, she comes back to the money lender and she is shocked to see that she will end up paying $2,540.
Oh my
Okay, approximately.
word.
So that she comes to know that the money lender has been charging interest for fortnight basis for the lapsed 4 months, and that was around 20%.
20%.
Yes.
So what is your advice?
So you know what happened? She was also threatened by the money lender. If she doesn't pay that amount, he will be going to the workplace and complaining it to the manager or whoever the boss is. So because that's an embarrassing thing, so Maria decides to pay. But then once she has paid 1,500, she decided to come and seek assistance from the council. After the intervention, we told the money lender that it's illegal. He can't charge that much of interest. And then, well, he agreed, and then he actually also refunded the outstanding balance. That
Lovely.
that was a good thing. But then again, our advice to consumers is be very careful. If you are taking out loan from someone, just try to see what are the terms and conditions. What will be the interest rate he or she will be charging for the amount that you are taking.
Right.
And what impact is going to have on your family, because it leads the entire family into financial difficulties.
Honestly.
Yeah, because you end up taking nothing home on the payday.
So just another question. What's the difference of interest rate? Like if you're loaning from a bank and a money lender, which one is more better?
As per the Money Lenders Act, the money lending should be better than it's lower. 12% is lower than the bank. But
Seriously?
then the way money lenders are playing now or acting, it's like they end up paying more And
Oh.
for different banks, it's different. They have different interest rates
Different interest
for these personal loans or small loans that you take from them.
Well, that's quite interesting because I thought the banks were much lower, the interest. Yeah, I don't
But
even
if you
know.
see now, if you compare, yes, banks are lower because now they are charging high interest rate, like 20%, 30%, 40%.
because
Yeah.
for bank interest really depends on the rate of the liquidity levels as well
Yeah.
for us.
Okay.
Whereas for the Money Lender Act, it is standard 12%.
Yeah. And like for banks, they will
Oh.
assess your eligibility. So if you are not eligible, they won't give you the loan.
And they're pretty good at
You
managing
know,
some
Louis, I was
banks.
very surprised. Today I was talking to one of the consumers and I was so, amazed to see he had a book
Mm.
where he was putting his, monthly income
Mm.
and then his daily expenses. And then at the end of the month, he adds up what was the revenue, what was the, expenses and how much he saves and what were the unnecessary expenses that he did.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
That's
and
good.
then moving on, he cuts on the unnecessary expenses, whether his income allows him to, So this is how the consumer should be, so that you can save and you don't get into high debt levels.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's on the money lenders. So what else do we have? Okay, hybrid. I believe that's always an ongoing issue with the batteries and probably so much more, but you can explain, I'm sure.
Right.
I'm sure
hybrid-
even the listener. But anyway, we'll have to come back to the hybrid. Sorry. On Gold FM, only the classic hits. This is Speak Your Mind. Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits. I hope that you're learning a lot because we've got from the Consumer Council, yes, our watchdog, the Chief Executive Officer, Seema Shandil, and the Campaign Information and Media Officer, Ropate Valeme. So now we're going to cover hybrid vehicles. Now, I'm sure a lot of people would be interested to ask a question at least, 3220906 or 7732906. Seema.
All right. So you know what hybrid vehicles are, right? If you stand out on the streets, a lot of people are owning hybrid vehicles. With the reason being because it's fuel efficient. And why wouldn't anybody want to own a hybrid vehicle? Very efficient, and then also has lower carbon footprint. So it's environmental friendly as well. However, with that vehicle comes a lot of issues as well. We have received a lot of issues. Like since 2014, we have received 45 complaints, which is worth $334,806.97. In 2019 to date, 7 cases have been received, amounting to $51,700, which is a big amount.
Yes, very
And
big.
mostly it is in regards to the hybrid vehicle batteries, because that vehicle also runs not only fuel but also on the batteries.
Yes.
So what happens is, most of us are buying second-hand vehicles, which means the time of the battery is already, you can expect the battery to be replaced soon after you purchase your vehicle. So when they purchase the vehicle, some car dealers give their 1 year warranty, some give 6-year warranty, and some give no warranty on the car batteries.
Oh.
So that means the responsibility comes on the owners who purchase that vehicle. So something happens to the battery, then what happens is, currently what we have seen is the battery comes from all different sources. So the full information is not disclosed to the consumers when they go out to purchase batteries. So what happens is once they have purchased, it doesn't last long.
Yeah.
Right, instead of going for 5 years, because according to what we in our research, what we came to know was that a new battery should last at least 5 years, which in many cases are not
Not the
so,
case.
yeah,
Yes.
not
Because
so.
I mean, you expect to be buying it, and you
Yeah,
expect a
because
new
it's-
battery. Like
it's not
anything
cheap.
you buy
It's
that
not
needs a
cheap.
battery.
It's very expensive. It's around 3,000 to 4,000 depending on the size of the vehicle.
Oh dear.
So, most of the traders, they provide only 2 years warranty or 1 year warranty. So there was a case where this guy actually bought the battery, and when something went wrong, so he goes to the trader and the trader refuses to provide the redress. So upon council's intervention, the trader agreed. However, they just gave him the redress on the pro rata basis, the number of months that was left for the warranty, and they didn't agree to give the full redress. So these are, so you have to be very careful as consumers. You need to ask the sellers, the traders, where the battery actually has come from, what is the warranty period for the battery, because it doesn't come cheap.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
And you-
Ropate, maybe you want, what would you advise a person wanting to buy a hybrid vehicle?
First, at the council, we normally ask consumers, advise them to do their research first. Before you buy a particular battery, you have to, we ask them to do a comparative shopping. You buy from the cheapest and the quality, then you buy that particular cell, because most of these traders, when they sell the battery, it doesn't come with a warranty. So you have the right, be assertive, and if you find a fault in that, you have the right to seek for refund or replace or repaired for that particular battery. So we normally ask consumers, they have to be assertive on this.
Okay, so you should know that the warranty has to be quite long for the battery.
Normally the warranty given is most of the time, sometimes if you look at the box, it says 5 years, but it's then decided by the traders in Fiji. Then it's either 2 years or 1 year, depending on the traders. Who's selling
Oh,
the
I
battery,
see.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what. Just to add on to what Ropate has said, whenever you are out there, ask questions. Ask a lot of questions about the product that you are buying.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you need the product. You must be in a hurry to get it so that you can get things sorted and start using your vehicle. But you need to ask questions. You need to move around and
Yes.
see who's giving you a better deal. Sometimes what we do is we look for cheaper, batteries. But what happens
the
is
long
then
run?
in the long run it doesn't last,
You
right?
pay more.
You pay more because you then continuously have to change the battery. Some people don't change the entire battery, but they change the cells. Because there's multiple of cells in that battery, which comes, the price is between 70 to 150.
Right.
So you have to be very careful what product you are buying, from whom you are buying, and whether it will last long.
Okay, so now my question is, what are the most complaints so far about, what have they been about this year?
Oh, as always, I think we were also
Maybe the
on
top
news.
5 would be good.
We were all last week. I think we were on news. This is the landlord and tenancy, the same old
Same
issue.
old issue.
You know that the tenants are ready to pay the amount that they are asking, which is normally really high. But the landlords with their list of conditions in the agreement, and if somehow the other they are not happy, then they give the eviction notice all of a sudden, and then they are students are at the mercy of landlords. So the conditions they live in, it's really not as does not match the price that they are paying. I mean, you must recall previously there was a complaint where the islanders, the regional students, they were facing the same issue. So what picture are we painting about our country, our beautiful country?
True.
I mean, if we are charging high rents, we at least provide the conditions, the houses that is in good conditions.
True.
Some students are squeezed together in one room, 3 or 4 students sharing one room. So they have a small space for their bed and to put their items,
Oh,
And
man.
additionally, other people are facing the same problems, whereby the conditions of the house are not good, maintenance are not being done on a timely manner, and then you cannot have visitors at home. You can't drink. This recently a complaint came where the owner was not allowing the person to even have wine at their place. How fair is that? You are
Yeah.
paying around 1,500 for that flat, and then you are not allowed to do anything inside your house.
The thing that gets to me is, I mean, how can we control this? How can we, it's very hard.
No, you know what? If the tenant starts paying stamp duty, one problem we can curb is the increase in rent. So once you start paying stamp duty to FRCS, then the amount of rent they are paying will be registered there. So
Okay.
if the landlords are trying to evict you in so that they can increase the rent,
Mhm.
this is how you can word of mouth, when the next tenant comes in, they can go and check with FRCS what was the previous rent, right? This is
Right.
how we can curb the problem of increase in rent. So
That's a
pay the
good
stamp
point.
duty,
Yes.
it will be registered with FRCS. The next tenant who comes on board, they can go and check with FRCS and raise the issue with the relevant authorities.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a perfect
But that's
advice.
where we lack as consumers. We don't want to pay the stamp duty.
Oh dear. So
Yeah.
how much is the stamp duty anyway?
It-
About?
Yeah,
Or
less
around-
than $10 for less than 700. Between 700 to 1,500 is $20, and more than
doesn't cost much at
1,500
all.
is $500, right?
$500. But it is paid directly to the Fiji Revenue Customs
Custom-
Service,
that's the-
not to the landlord.
Yeah, that's so the tenants need to go and pay directly
Mm.
to FRCS, not to the landlord.
They should go with their landlord and tenancy agreement.
Yes.
In that way, they can register the landlord and keep a track of their income.
Man, that's
So
really great
yeah.
advice. True.
Yeah, so see, we can curb this problem to some extent.
Yeah, because that's a consumer responsibility to
Yes.
always be alert. But the thing is, they just want to move in and just, don't want to do anything like that. Even some landlords, they don't even have a contract.
True.
I mean, maybe they should be taken to
Yeah,
task.
the issue of demand and supply, there is high demand and the supply is limited, so the tenants settle for anything and everything.
Oh my goodness me. But okay, thank you so much for coming on the show again.
Thank you,
Our
Liz.
guest, the CEO of the Consumer Council of Fiji, Seema Shandil, and also the Campaign Information and Media Officer, Ropate Vinakavakalevu. Until next time.